when I kick it out and hit ignore, it turns my volume off. So I'm hoping that you guys will be able to come find me. This first lecture is in this book, The Outer Planets and Their Cycles, is most likely going to have 3 parts now because I don't know if we're going to finish it today. And then I had to get on here and reconnect. I'm either going to have to stream from the computer, which when I do that, I like to do like a whole big setup, or I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get around this because I don't know how else to get phone calls out. I guess I could use my older iPhone that I use for a workup back phone that I use to look up charts when clients call through on this phone. I suppose I could do that and just use the Wi-Fi on here so I don't get kicked out by a phone call. It's not a bad idea. I'm trying to give a moment for you guys to come find me in here. My work is also having a sale, so I'm going to log back into that. Such a bummer. I had a good group of you. Okay. So do be sure to like and subscribe if you want to follow along or catch me when we get kicked out. All right. So let's see. How many more? Well, I'm kind of waiting for some of you. Because sometimes it will say we're still in there too. Like I'll come out and it'll still be. Let me see. Maybe I can go in there. So I'm waiting for some of you to find me. See what it's saying. Content. Edit. Okay. Anybody in here? Okay. Live. Okay, this says. Now I can go in here and comment. Maybe. Okay, let's watch it on YouTube. It's nice and convenient to do it on the phone, but then I get kicked out of here. Okay. Oh, now it's making me log in. Oh, miserable. Okay. So. None of you have found me yet, so I'll just have to tag this in there. Your videos. There, you found me. Okay. Hey, hi, yes, queen. So we had just been reading through this lecture on the outer planets and their cycles, but then, of course, I get a phone call and then it mutes me for whatever reason. So I might have to start using my work phone that I use to run charts when I'm on the go to stream so phone calls can't interrupt. But yeah, once I kick out the phone call, it will like look like it's working, but then all of a sudden I'm muted. And so if you go through the videos, there's at least 2 or 3 of them that are live that I'm muted for half of them. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, Queen. Thanks for joining us. All right. So I see y'all found me now. So if I ever get kicked out, I have it like on default live stream continues so we can jump back in. But I don't know that we're going to finish this lecture today that we started, but I will definitely go back in when I get off and I will pin the links to the intro and the first part we just did. So lecture 1, there's 7 lectures, is probably going to have 3 parts because we already did a big part of it and we had to hop back on and then we'll try to finish it up tomorrow. Brittany Boyd. I feel like I went to high school with someone with that name, but Braden. Hey, Braden. So we're reading The Outer Planets and Their Cycles. It's talking a lot about how the outer planets affect the collective when it comes to politics and stuff. So it's not leaning either way. It's just astrology when it comes to the generational planets and politics and major transits. I'm not sure about the translation. I'm sorry. There should be one somewhere, maybe in the playback. I'll look into that for you, though, and see what's going on. What language do you need it in? Let me know, because I'll specifically look for that. So we were just talking about in 1524, there was this huge stellium in Pisces of all 7 known planets. Neptune was actually there as well. we haven't had a mention of where Pluto was. I would have to go back in my software. I could probably run the date, but it was 500 years to the day. And she was just talking about, she wrote this book in 1980, and she was just talking about how significant every 500 years is. So I was like going mind blown, mind blown. So definitely I'll link it and I'll pin it in the comments below when we're done in the playback, the first part that we were just talking about. But so she says, so we left off here. And like I said, if I get kicked off or anything, we'll be back tomorrow to finish lecture 1. So just follow along. We're going to be doing a book study on this book. It's $150 for a new copy of it and $80 used on Amazon. There's one copy left if you want to snag it and follow along. I don't have an affiliate link for Amazon or anything, but if you really want it, that's where you can find it. All right. So over the decade building up to and following the Great Conjunction in Pisces, that was in 1524, and so it says, and we should remember that these conjunctions have a buildup and a dissemination time, just like any other transit or progression. I was kind of telling you guys, even if it's a 7-degree orb, we're still feeling it. It's just, and stuff's still happening. It's just major stuff's going to happen when it's, within orb. That's what they're saying there. She's saying, over the decade building up and following, not a lot happened to justify all that terror, right? All the astrologers are freaking out when all the planets align in Pisces. They thought there would be a great flood because it's a water sign, and the end of the world because it's the end of the zodiac. Yes, Brayden, so might as well follow along with me, right? Okay. And I wanted to read it anyway, so I'm just doing it with you guys, all right? And it forced me to look up when the Saturn-Pluto conjunctions are and everything. Which just further helps me help clients and such. And if you ever want a personal reading with me, it's rotation411.com. I have all kinds of different readings on there. We can even Zoom now. You can set up an appointment. So the only odd thing that was okay, so here we go. The only odd thing that was this is a very interesting word. The only odd thing that was a very recalcitrant and bad-tempered monk called Martin Luther went around nailing nasty statements about the church to cathedral doors. And a few people listened. So she's saying the only major thing that really happened was the Lutheran church branched off from the Catholic Church. Okay, that's what she's saying here. And there's this really cool series on Gaia, and I think it's on YouTube now. And I had found the playlist. I should link that too. I think I linked it on one of my videos. An astrologist I met in San Diego at the Psychic and Wellness Fair. I accidentally walked into her room. I was looking for something else, and I didn't even know she existed. And she's a Leo with a Virgo moon. She's really cool. She was talking about that guy's special, but it explains that too, about the whole, just how religious philosophy ties into astrological timing and things. It's a really good series. I need to just have that on hand to just link on all. I should put it on the default to link on everything. All right. So, anyways. So the world ended in the sense that the prevailing and unquestioned view of the world ended, the dogma of the world, because, Jupiter traditionally ruled Pisces because they didn't know about Neptune yet, right? And so this is sort of the crossover from the dogma of Jupiter ruling Sagittarius and Pisces to Pisces being ruled by Neptune and being a little more spiritual and less dogmatic, I think is what she's trying to say there, just to put it in a nutshell. So the world ended in the sense that the prevailing and unquestioned view of the world ended. A great crack appeared in the unshakable bastion of the one true faith, which had dominated the Western world for 1,500 years. She's talking about Roman Catholicism. It is hard for us to understand now just how monumental an event this was. Until Luther, there was simply no spiritual reality except the Catholic Church, which means the universal church. In Greek roots or whatever, the general populace, apart from a few rampant heretics, would never have dared to even question the sole road to salvation. What I hope this story suggests to you, as it does to me, is that the ending of the world may occur on subtle I always read it one way, it's subtler levels than the concrete one. If it's time for something to end, the level on which the ending manifests may vary, right? Because we go through an ending every year. I talk about this a lot. People kind of get depressed during Scorpio season sometimes because it's a death and rebirth time. It's like everything that you started with major gusto and Aries season, now it's kind of come to a head, and you're like, and you have to reflect, and you have to reflect on before that and how it integrates into your life. And then, as we get to, so we kind of have to start over during Scorpio season, right in the middle of things. So it can be kind of like jolting, right? But then when we get to Pisces season, everything kind of comes to a finality, and then we start again in Aries season. So that's basically what she's saying there, is that if it's time for something to end, the level on which its ending manifests may vary. What's up? Hi. Okay. I did 30 minutes before, and I'm gonna tag it in the description in the playback in the comments, but we lost it because whenever I get a phone call, it mutes me, so I have to kick out. But I'm probably gonna go live on my older iPhone as we go through this so that we don't have that problem anymore. Even though I think the microphone's better on this one. So it's a toss up. Maybe I'll have to put an external mic on again. All right. Anyways. So if you guys can help me out and let me know if if the audio kicks out or something, that way I'm not just rambling on like an idiot. Okay. All right. Anyways, so this depends also. Okay. So uh, it may vary on which the ending manifests. This depends also on what is existent in the world, which is going to be affected by the emerging new energies. I think it depends very much on the structures existent within society. Let's see here. How flexible or rigid they may be, and how able they are to accommodate change. It also depends very much on the state or quality of consciousness in the individual in society, because nothing can come into expression except in accordance with the form which it carries. She's being very philosophical and existential there, so that's kind of a mouthful. Might have to replay that one. I don't know if you guys want me to reread that paragraph. Let me know. It was lecture 1, page 9. We can always reread that and try to, dissect it a little more. So, the conjunction of 1524 brought about a change which had already been prophesied and had been in the cooking pot for a long time. It was already in the wind through Henry VIII, who inaugurated his break with the papacy for personal rather than visionary reasons. Henry VIII was the first to be able to get a divorce. Okay. It simply took the channels which were open. One of the funnier aspects of it is that the astrologers who were in the favor of the Reformation, which meant primarily those living in Germany and Switzerland, immediately went around saying that the Great Conjunction of 1524 was a herald of Luther, that the stars were on his side, that it favored him and showed that God wanted the church to change its corrupt ways. Interesting. So the astrologists were all worried the world's going to end by a great flood, but then when they saw Martin Luther going out and stapling stuff, they're like, yeah, he's doing, he's making big changes. We go over, we do celebrity live streams, Synastries, so we go over their compatibility, and we do the big 144 series where we cover all the sun, moon, and rising signs, but that's pre-recorded. Just a quick note, Brandon was asking me, or Braden, sorry, Braden was asking me what else we've done. There's a few different kind of series I have going on this channel. Sometimes I even hop on and do general tarot readings when I can fit them in, but I work professionally doing personal readings. Like my work is having a sale right now. Actually, I clicked on to that when I hopped back on here. I was going to only be on here for 15 minutes and then prioritize that. Because, of course, as soon as I'm like really focused and in my own mode, then the universe is always like tugging my arms away. I have Mars in Gemini. So it's either me being scattered or it's everybody else like, hey, I need your attention. And I'm like, we're trying to focus on this right now. Okay. All right. Anyways. So, all right. And I'm a Virgo moon, so I'm like in my hole trying to focus on this. I don't want to talk to you. I want to study. And it's Scorpio season, which loves research. Okay. So, anyways, where was I? Okay. My battery is getting quite low and we are pushing it's 4:08 here Pacific Standard Time. So I'm probably going to have to wrap it up at the end of this paragraph, but I will be back on some point tomorrow. And I usually give like a 15-minute or 30-minute heads up, and I'll say like gonna schedule it out so you'll kind of have a heads up when I'm gonna pop on. But I can't do it much further out than that because, like I said, a lot of mutable energy in my chart, so things change a lot. So I just don't want to, lie to you. So I give you a little heads up. All right. Let's see here. So, the astrologists, I guess, were backing up Martin Luther when he was going around doing that. You see how we can make anything political, even the planets. You see how we can make anything political, even the planets? That's what she's saying. Anyway, my feeling is that a similar imminent change is now in the wind. Again, this is 1980 she's talking about, but there is an urgent collective yearning which is being expressed in many different ways. I think the trend towards quote unquote inner exploration, which includes the development of new therapies and meditation and astrology and other related quests, reflects the yearning for some alternate vision of reality. And again, we do have Neptune and Pisces for another year or so. So, um, meditation, therapies, things like that. Of course, if there is a change imminent, there's also going to be a fear of death, right? Also Pisces, because something must die to allow that change to occur. So I'm surprised she hasn't mentioned Neptune much yet, but you can see this once again in the dreams of individuals going through deep changes in the personality. They dream of people dying, mother, father, old selves that are outworn. And they often feel a lot of panic and depression until the new thing has emerged and they understand the necessity of the old thing passing away. Like I was talking about when we go in the spring equinox from Pisces to Aries every year, or when we go through Scorpio season. It's kind of a miniature version of that. I feel like Pisces season is a little better because it like all you can kind of see the hindsight at that point of the year. You're like, oh, okay, and then you kind of see what's coming, that preview of what's coming for you. But I feel like Scorpio season is a little scary because you don't really see and you're forced to reflect. Okay, unless you're a Scorpio, then then you're kind of like, I know what to do here. All right, anyways. You cannot have change without something dying. Any movement of this kind in the psyche tends to collect images of death around it. Religions have always known this, which is why they have always been attached to myths of dying and resurrected gods. An experience of new birth and redemption must always be preceded by the death of an old attitude. Initiation rites from all cultures portray a symbolic death, which heralds the birth of the quote unquote saved or quote unquote redeemed soul. Many artists experience deep depression before the onset of a new creative burst of energy. So I feel that a good deal of the millenarian fear, which is around now as in the past, has as much to do with the anticipation of change as with an actual expectation of destruction in the literal world. So she's saying, as much as we fear death and the world ending, it's really just that anticipation of change. We feel the change coming, okay? Should I do one more paragraph? If it kicks out, I'll catch you guys tomorrow, okay? So just be aware of that. It'll be like part 3 or 4 of the Outer Planets book study, okay? Yeah, just so you know, if it kicks out, I'm not going to come back on today. So, my favorite planets? Oh, man, I don't know if I have a favorite planet. I'm going to probably say Jupiter. I'm pretty partial to. Jupiter's probably my favorite. He's a planet of fun. He's also law, higher education, wisdom, but I don't know. He's just like the jolly Santa Claus to me. So if I had to attach a personality, Jupiter brings blessings. So I don't know. I think Jupiter's probably my favorite planet uh, off the top of my head, but I love all the planets. Yeah. And I have my Jupiter's in the 7th house in Aries. So wrap your head around that if you know anything. Okay, so but Aries is quite a spicy 7th house. You deal with a lot of aggressive characters with that kind of a 7th house. But anyway, Jupiter, he makes it all better. All right. So, anyways, now I'm not implying that I think the next 20 years are going to be absolutely wonderful any more than they were after the conjunction of 1524. So she's saying the next 20 years from 1980. So we're already 40 years out. The immediate repercussions of the Reformation were the outbreak of religious wars throughout Europe, which continued into the next century with the 30 Years' War, and which we still have to face in the problem of Northern Ireland. Luther brought not peace, but a sword. Swords like the tarot, like words, right? He wrote this thing, and he, I don't know how he put them on the doors, but he pinned them to the doors or something. Oh, Neptune. Neptune's a good one, but Neptune's a little tricky, he's a mystery, so it could take you a lifetime to uncover him. But I do feel like this is very Neptunian themed. I'm surprised she's only mentioned Neptune like once, which was saying he was in Pisces too, when they had the 7-planet stellium, but they didn't know because he's the 8th planet. But I'm surprised that's all. She basically sounds like she's talking about Neptune behind his back right now, but she's not saying his name and calling him out. All right, I'm losing my voice now, guys. Okay. All right, I do like Neptune a lot, but Neptune he can make me mad sometimes too. Okay. It's like he's too elusive and he's too mysterious sometimes. Like, just be upfront. All right, so I have no doubt that we will have some nasty shocks in the next 2 decades, even though God is purportedly an Englishman and therefore civilized. We are human, not angelic, and there is a good deal of poverty, oppression, and rage throughout the world. The lineup of Uranus, I always say Uranus because I don't, I don't know, I feel like a third grader when I say Uranus. Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune, to which we look forward later in this decade, is, I am sure, going to produce some upsetting effects politically and economically. So she was saying 20 years, so it was about 26 years before we had 2008, that recession. You can imagine that it would upset an individual on whose chart it landed. And it will land on the charts of several countries, including Britain, America, and the Soviet Union. No doubt it will upset the collective wherever there are flashpoints, but that is not quite the same thing as the world ending. So she's saying, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune were lining up close to the turn of the millennium. So the year 2000, right? 20 years from 1982. There is a very important difference between the approaching conjunction and the previous occurrences of these planets lining up together. In the earlier centuries, when great conjunctions occurred, there was no sense of quote unquote individual. No one walked around contemplating the meaning of his identity and his inner self, except for a few Neoplatonists, yeah, okay, I think that's the right word, who tended to consider such things important. If a person has a sense of individuality above and beyond the place in society that he occupies, then the effect of collective changes on that person is going to be quite different. I guess I want to keep reading it because now I'm really absorbed in it. But my battery is getting quite low. So we're on page 11. Let's see. I always kind of do this when I read. Yeah, this lecture is long. So we're going to be reading this for a while, definitely through the American election. So there's an audience question, still lecture 1 at page 26. It says, what about Pluto? So definitely be getting to Pluto. And that's right towards the end. So 28. So we got about 27 more pages to go, but I'm loving it. I would go longer right now, but I just know that I'm going to start getting more interruptions as we get closer to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and my work is having a sale. So maybe tomorrow we'll be able to spend well, you asked me how long I was on here before. We did about 52 minutes, right? Maybe tomorrow we can spend 2 hours on it because I definitely want to get through lecture 2. And then you guys can break it up however you want to in your own free time. Let me double check that I don't have any orders. Nope, not yet. Okay. They always sneak in when I'm least expecting them, if I get too preoccupied. So if you want a personal reading from me, it's rotation411.com. Do check out moonmatch.love, or it's the same as divinetimingdatabase.org. The links are all below in the description. I'll link the first 2 videos for the intro and the first part of this video from today in the comments and in the description when I sign off. And yeah, we have the big 144 series where we cover all the sun, moon, and rising signs. We have the Celebrity Synastry Live series where we go over the astrological compatibility. It's pretty easy to see with celebrities what I see in the charts of my clients, and if they have malefic, deal breaker, and divorce aspects. If you want to see if you have any of those with someone, you can go to divinetimingdatabase.com/stars. The link's also below, and you can just put your birthdays in and quickly see if you have any malefic, deal breaker, divorce aspects with someone, if you're sort of wasting your time. I have a ton of synastry videos on the channel as well. Are you wasting your time? Where we talk about all those malefic, deal breaker, and divorce aspects. Then we have the soulmate aspects series. I think there's at least 3 or 4 videos of that. And then I'm doing the birthday series book. I got your October 27th and 28th babies out. We did a couple July ones, trying to get through the whole year, the secret language of birthdays. So if you don't have the whole book, you can just look up your birthday or your family and friends. Yeah, so I'm a Mars and Gemini, you guys. So just hang in there. I'll get to it, But if you really want to see something, just keep, reminding me, because then I'll move it up the list, all right? And yeah, that's all I can think of right now. I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and light. And like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date and kind of catch me as I hop on. All right, thank you.